Heyo, welcome back to Thoughts and Opinions Are Our Own. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Kirk.
Oh, Kirk.
Yes, Jordan.
Recently, Spotify, who we love because some of you listen to Spotify, so thank you. Spotify did their Spotify Wrap, which at the end of the year, it shows you like what artists you listen to the most, what songs you listen to the most.
Yep.
And this is our season 3 finale.
This is it.
Woo!
We made it through season 3. And what a season it's been, Jordan.
Oh my gosh,
what a season it's been. What's the theme for your season?
Well, our theme, our Spotify Wrap, if you will, our theme and how we're going to end the season 3 podcast is changes.
Changes, yes.
We have both gone through major changes, and I don't know who out there is listening. I'm sure you have gone through changes. There's actually a trend on TikTok. If you're allowed to do TikTok, it's so much fun. There's a trend on TikTok where
I don't do TikTok. But nothing against TikTok, although I know it's kind of controversial. I personally don't do TikTok.
I love TikTok.
It's okay.
Anyway,
I see both sides of the TikTok. I see both sides of the TikTok. Go ahead.
TikTok is very fun. There's a trend where you record yourself and it goes, if December 2023 was talking to January me of 2023, and basically you act out you like, so December 2023 Jordan tells January 2023 and January 2023 it's like, girl, that didn't happen in December. December Jordan's like, girl, no, it did. And then January's like, how can I process this? So I mean, it's a funny trend, but it's like, funny. I mean, just like reviewing what you've been through the last like 10, 11, 12 months. It's so I think, as the holidays approach, as the calendar ends and we start literally new month, new year, new week, whatever. So let's discuss changes.
So how about positive changes for you and maybe a couple of negative changes for you in the last 4, 5, 6 months? Go.
Ooh. So positive change was relocating, moving from the Midwest to the DMV Nova area.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was a positive. Another positive is finding out that I'm going to be an aunt again.
Yes, you are. Congratulations. Yes.
This is very, very exciting. Our family is growing and expanding.
Yes.
I'm trying to think another positive change here, because I got a couple negative changes.
Okay. How about negative changes?
Okay. So negative change. Well, it kind of cancels this out. So positive, negative. So I bought a car like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yes.
It was
your first legit
my first car
purchase of a car.
I actually paid it off last year.
Yes.
So for the last year, I didn't have a car payment.
Congratulations. Yes.
Thank you.
That was a big deal.
The Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, my transmission decides it wants to act up on me. And, it's 8 o'clock Wednesday night before a major, American holiday. And
hours before the Thanksgiving holiday, something went cuckoo with your transmission.
Yeah. And this is kind of hard to say. It wasn't the first time the transmission. Yeah. So major red flag. And, call AAA. Okay, where do you want it towed? Every place is closed. And I'll figure it out Friday. So Thursday, I'm borrowing mom's car. Thank God you guys were able to help me, because I'm like,
you're
okay,
welcome.
if we weren't living, I would have figured it out.
You would have,
but you would have gotten.
I'm glad we were within 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was too. It worked out well. Thursday, okay, Thanksgiving, great day, trying to be thankful for everything that I have. But I got to be honest, in the back of my mind, I'm like, tomorrow's coming. What am I going to do?
Tomorrow is
coming. Go to work a half day. The garage place is like, hey, it's your transmission. We can't fix on it. You got to go to the dealership. Call up AAA again. Take it to the dealership. They're like, yeah, we can't fix your transmission. We don't have a specialist. You have to go to another garage.
It's a little bit of a game. It's a little bit of a can you or can you not fix the transmission?
This other garage, I'm not kidding. They're like, you have to wait 2 weeks. We can't give you a rental car.
A game. I'm sensing this. It was a bit of a game. Yes.
There were some minor rust damages on the car or whatever.
So what was your decision? And how to win the game?
How to win the game? Trade it in and get a new car. And that's what I did.
Congratulations again. So this is a new car now.
Brand new car. 2023. Am I superior on the roads these days? Yes, I am.
2023.
Because here I am, 2023 Toyota Corolla. And if you listened to me talk about my Miami trip 2 years ago, when I went to Miami, I rented a Toyota Corolla, loved it.
You did, and you said how much you enjoyed when you rented that car. That maybe in the future you would purchase your own one.
Well, 600 days later. I'll be honest. I like being honest. There were tears. There were tears. I was very
Saying
very
goodbye
frustrated
to your old car.
Yeah, I
and
mean
saying
the
hello to them.
memories. I mean, I've driven a lot of places.
Yes.
I mean, I drove to DC. I drove to Indianapolis. I drove to Cedar Point in Ohio. I drove all the way up to the very tippy top of Michigan, all the way back down to Michigan. I drove to Chicago. I've prayed so much in that car.
Yes.
I've listened to so much Taylor Swift in that car.
Yes.
I've won.
A lot of good memories.
I've won tickets in that car.
Yep.
You know, it was my first car, and it was a lot of fun. And just kind of saying goodbye. And to be honest, I think part of the frustration and I don't want to say anger, but part of the frustration and disappointment was it was an older car. It did have over 140,000 miles on it, but that was like the last connection to Michigan that I had.
Because now you're in the East Coast, on the East Coast.
Yeah. So I have to,
so you officially have to say you are living on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Your license plate, your driver's license is not Michigan anymore.
Correct.
It's you're in a new state.
And I had like the new state stuff, but like to just see that car. I mean, on the side, it said, built with pride with, the company it was made with.
Right.
And it said Michigan proud. And to just see it end like that was so devastating. To be honest, my goal is to get to like 200,000. So that was a very interesting experience. I mean, I'm very happy that I have the new car. I love that car. It's a beautiful car.
Yes.
It's my favorite color. It's a little sparkly in the sun.
So a negative change, you're trying to put a positive twist to it.
I really am, man. I know how Joseph feels in the Bible. Like he was like, oh,
Joseph in the Bible.
Okay. I mean, I know like I wasn't falsely accused of anything, but like it's hard. Like you try to find the positive in all like the negativity, and I think again going back to like Jesus and Christianity. I mean, Jesus does try to turn all the negatives into positives. But yeah, it was a hard change. I'm still getting used to it. I gotta be honest. Sometimes I'm like, where did I park? And then I'm like, oh right, it's a new car.
You're looking for the new car in the parking lot.
The little gas thing's on the different side now, so I have to play that game.
So little again, it's a game. Little changes, big changes. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
But it's really nice. I've already given people rides in it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like I never like missed a beat. Like I picked it up, and it's nice. I'm moving around. I gotta tell you, there was one day. The bass, the music is so good in that car. It is really good.
It's bumping now.
Oh, it is. And you can hear me, and here I come.
Here comes Miss Jordan in her new car.
And it was so smooth. I'm like, yeah, I'm that main girl right now. I was driving, and there was a moment where it was like an intersection with the roundabout. I think I was listening to Adele or something. The bass was popping. I whipped that side so smooth, and I was like, "Yeah, that's right." It didn't shake like my other car did, and it wasn't like. It was so smooth. I was like, "Ooh, that was fresh. That was crispy. That was fire right there." I'm like, I'm the main character right now. I don't know where my sunglasses were, but that would have just leveled out.
Your new car. All right.
I really like that new car. Well, you'll probably hear me talk about the new car here.
Okay, so 2 thumbs up for Jordan and her new car.
Yeah, but now I have a car payment, so I gotta play that game.
Okay, so that's another new change in your life because, like you said, you didn't have a car payment for over a year, and now you're gonna have one very soon.
Yeah.
Well, you get what you pay for. Usually.
That's a really nice car. And everyone keeps saying, like, wow, that's really good. It's going to last you 10, 11 years. And I'm
I hope so, obviously.
Yeah.
I think you realize as you get older here on planet Earth, material things are nice to have, but you realize, again, maturity and experience, things are very temporary.
Yeah.
Cars, houses.
Well, my first car, it had rust on it.
Yes.
And I was in denial. I'm like, oh, it's okay. But we'll be honest, it was a really bad rust spot.
And I think, Jordan, that's, again. It
was growing.
we live here on planet Earth. There's a lot of material things here. You have to get around. You have to get to your job. You have to get to your whatever places you got to go to. And, there's obviously different ways to do that.
I could be like the Amish, horse and a buggy.
You could do a horse and buggy.
Hey,
you could ride your bike.
Maybe I go to the Kentucky Derby.
You could go to the Kentucky Derby and buy a horse.
There you go.
But I think you're right. I think so. I'm glad you had all those years of experience in that old car, like you said, all those memories. But now with your new car, hopefully you'll have a lot of good memories. And
so far I do.
Yes. So I'm happy for you. So
thank you.
Okay, so that was one of your many changes.
Yeah. New job.
Yep.
I'm doing about like 90%. Very similar of what I was doing in Michigan.
Right.
But different companies, different states, different policies. Minor stuff. I do like it. I have a really good boss. Coworkers are pretty
still
cool
in
too.
the medical world.
Still in the medical world.
Medical world.
My coworkers are actually closer to me in age, which is really fun.
Yep.
I like to think I'm the pop culture guru.
Pop culture, yes.
Yeah. Oh, they just laugh, and I'm eating it up. I'm like, oh, this is just feeding into me. It's great.
Well, someone has to keep the office kind of on their feet and kind of making some jokes and trying to keep it. And
I know I'm influential because they tell me that they're starting to do their hair like me, or they'll ask me like, hey, how'd you do your hair like that? I'm like,
some of the other ladies that you're working with are noticing your hairstyle.
And then sometimes I like to use the word wackadoo or double whammy, and I've noticed some of my superiors have also been using that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Double whammy.
So
now some of your language,
my lingo, it's slowly seeping into
your terminology, some of them, and then now they're recognizing your hairstyles.
And I have a new car.
And you have a new car.
I am the main character right now.
You think you are the main? Oh, that's funny.
Just a little bit.
That's funny.
But realistically, like, there's like 900 of us, so. But it's been pretty good. What about you? Any positive, negative changes?
Well, moving here also. So you moved, I think it was May.
Yep.
Of this year. So then your mother and I, a little over 2 months later, so late July.
I gotta say, flying first class to help you guys.
And we talked about that, I think, in the last pod, right? Or a couple, remember?
First class is so amazing.
It is, yeah. So just packing up, saying goodbye, like you said, saying goodbye to Michigan and the memories there and our jobs.
It's so like bittersweet because like it's so familiar and like everything, and just like driving through, like saying goodbye to the house that was kind of sad, going down the highway, going past Domino's Farms in the Big A in Ann Arbor, and just like seeing it, and then now we're crossing into, and I'm like, oh, that was the last time, Jordan. Like, that was it. And then, you're in Ohio and you're like, okay, Ohio. And then you're in Pennsylvania and you're like, oh, things are starting to change now.
The theme, yes.
And then you get to like Maryland and you're like, yeah, like the scenery. Like, you can actually like physically see.
You can tell you're not in the Midwest.
Yeah.
You're not in Michigan. You're not in the Midwest anymore. You're on the East Coast now.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed obviously the opportunity to move here, to be closer to you and your sisters and the son-in-law and the grandson. And
the weather's better. That's a great change.
We're not having to shovel 8 inches of snow. Obviously, like we did in Michigan.
Sun's out more. I'm taking my vitamin D supplements. Woo!
If you like the sun, some people don't, but if you like the sun, obviously you're going to get it here on the East Coast more.
Probably. I realize my personality and my likes and dislikes, they're also changing. I realized like my food's tastes are changing. My music is changing a little bit. I do like Taylor Swift. I've kind of rediscovered YouTube by myself.
Yep.
Sometimes the classical jazzy, I'm like, that is really good. Some of those gospel songs, I'm like, man, I see why it's called soul music or soul food. I'm like, yeah, okay. Even like one of the shows I'm watching as a kid, I really liked it. I thought it was funny. But now, as an adult, I'm rewatching this, and the show's like, 30, 35 years older. I'm like, this show's not really funny. Like these characters, like they are very sarcastic. They just dig at each other. They're very mean spirited, and I'm like, why was I watching that as a kid? Why did I think that was funny? And I remember talking to Mom about it. She's like, yeah, Jordan, that's why anytime I thought you were being mouthy, I would tell you can't watch that show, to like kind of not like ground me, but like you're like, you're consuming so much of it, you need a break. And I gotta be honest, some of the plot lines, I'm like, what? Like there's a hole there. And I don't know. I feel like I have like a fresh pair of eyes now, and I'm like, I don't know. So I feel like there are some things that I thought I liked, but that maybe I don't like as much anymore.
When I was in my first year of college, I moved from Michigan. I went to a school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I was 18 years old, 1,000 miles away from home.
Yeah.
Didn't have a car, trying to figure out college and the finances and that stuff. And I took some classes, and then I'm like, okay, freshman year, And so
we've all been there.
The gen ed classes, but some of them are like, you know what? I'm like, they're not. I don't know if they're challenging me, but they're making me kind of think about some things that I maybe wouldn't usually. And so I was reading some books that I wouldn't usually read when I was in high school, and so then you realize, like you just said, you're opening up to maybe different possibilities. Like you said, your tastes are changing.
Yeah.
I discovered this drink called Dr. Pepper. I discovered Dr.
Which
Pepper.
was it? Dr. Pepper?
It was Dr. Pepper. In Tulsa, Oklahoma. And here it is 30 some years later. I'm still drinking Dr. Pepper. So some things, and I think some things will stay with you. Some things that you find when you're younger, you don't outgrow. Like I still like Dr. Pepper, but some things, like you said, that TV show, you're like, it's not hitting like it used to.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the color blue. I always have, but now, I mean, I'm open to pink and purple and green. I do like the pastel colors. Yeah. There are some things that, and I'll admit too, like, I'm kind of like almost like going back to like how I was doing stuff like 10, 15 years ago. Like my hair, I'm kind of doing it how I was when I was younger. My makeup, I'm trying to go back a little bit, be a little more natural. Maybe it's like the trend now or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you're right. There are some things that, you know, as a kid, I think you'll always have. But then there's some teeny tweaks here or there. And I feel like I'm kind of like a caterpillar in the cocoon right now. I'm in the cocoon process. I'm changing into the, you know, soon to be 30-year-old woman that I'm gonna be. I'm kind of, I don't want to say like I'm a teen, but I'm going from young adult to like corporate of professional, like 30-year-old adult. And
you just had a birthday.
Oh yes, I did. Thank you.
Ago.
And your birthday's coming up.
My birthday is very soon, coming up in a week and a half. Yes. So
fun.
we both have birthdays.
We both have birthdays.
Good times.
Very fun.
Yes.
And I feel like the last 6 months, I feel like it's almost been like a crash course on Jordan being Jordan, like discovering who I am, you know, why I do certain things. The way that the other day I was doing something in the kitchen and I'm like, oh, like, why do I do this? I'm like, oh, it's because I've seen mom do it, like, you know, trillions of times. The other day I was, and I thought of you. I was laying down in my bed with my laptop and I was listening to music. I'm like, come on. And I was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad does that. And then I was like driving and I had like a plate and I'm like, oh, Dad does this way. And then I did the mail. I'm like, Mom does it this way. Or like I took the trash out and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've seen Mom do it. So I feel like I've kind of discovered like who I am. And again, it kind of goes along with the change, the likes, the dislikes. But yeah, I've discovered, you know, and I feel like they're true about your prefrontal lobe cortex, whatever, developing after 25. I think I've mentioned this before. I know it's out there. I know it is. But like things are like starting to come together.
Things are making more sense
to
you now
I'm getting
25.
So much more clarity. 27 was even better than 26. 28 so far is better than 27.
Okay, this is good. We call this progress.
It really is. It really is. And I'm like, yeah. I'm glad I didn't. You know, I'm glad that you know. Obviously, you know, you're always disappointed, but. When things don't go the way you planned, but I'm actually like looking back in hindsight, the whole like trying to get the job in Denver, I'm glad it didn't work out. The job interview in Indianapolis or Detroit, I'm glad those didn't work out. You know, the job for, you know, trying to work out in Hawaii, I'm glad it didn't work out. I'm glad in a weird way, like I've always wanted to be in this area that we grew up in because we used to come here all the time. So in a weird way, again, going back to the childhood, I am out here and it is kind of crazy to see like some of our dreams or desires coming true. But in doing so, like I've had to change a little bit. I've had to become accustomed to the culture out here, the community out here. Yeah, so it's been a really interesting process. I'm not quite a butterfly yet, but I'm almost there. So use
that.
I'm in the transition, the changing time, and it's fun, but it's also a little uncomfortable too. Because I mean, there are tough decisions that you have to make. You know, like okay, when this car situation happened, what do I do? And I had a lot of different ideas. I had like plans on plans. You know, everyone was like, okay, well, what happens if this plan fails? Okay, Plan J is this. Well, what's the next plan? Plan K is this. Okay, plan L. So I did have plans, but I think in the heart of hearts, I mean, you said just rip the Band-Aid off. I think I knew what I had to do. And I mean, I think that's part of like being an adult. It's part of growing up. That's part of being mature, having responsibilities. But it's also part of changes too, because sometimes you don't want to do stuff, but you're like, well, you just have to.
When your mother and I moved out here a few months ago, I think I was ready before she was.
Yeah.
And so, and I've told her this before. I even told the cats, our three cats, Butterscotch, Hadley, and Adeline, and especially Hadley, because I think she didn't like the move the most. God bless her. But I seriously, I've told Mom, like, hey, I know moving out here and leaving Michigan and leaving your job and leaving your friends and family to come out here, it was a big ask.
Yeah.
I was asking a lot from Mom, again, and the cats. And so, but I'm glad we're here. I feel like it was the right decision. We prayed about it a lot. We feel like we got a green light.
Yeah.
It's nice. Obviously, you and your two sisters, again, the son-in-law, the grandson, we're all within like 30, 35 minutes of each other.
Now our future member to join us.
So that would be your niece and my soon-to-be granddaughter. We're very excited for her arrival. And so I think it's, again, as you get older, there's some decisions you have to make, like you said, whether you're adulting.
Yeah.
And, you got to pray about a lot. You have to decide, hey, am I going to do this or am I not going to do this? Or, is this the right decision for me or do I have to wait? Maybe there's a waiting season and you have to get some wisdom and discernment as to, when to move forward and when to stay. And I think in the Bible, obviously, when I think of when the Hebrews were leaving Egypt and going, trying to go to the promised land, it was the pillar of smoke and fire, I think, right?
Yeah.
The cloud of smoke and the pillar of fire. Yeah, nice. So the cloud was during the day. They could see the cloud, and when it moved, then they had to move. When it stayed, they had to stay.
Yeah.
And then at nighttime, same thing. The pillar of fire, when it moved, they moved in the nighttime, and when it stayed, they had to, pitch their tents and pull up for a while. So I think everybody has to figure that out, when to move forward, when to stay. And change, like I said, change can be interesting. It can be good when you're ready for it. Like, it sounds like you're getting ready, the whole butterfly analogy.
Yeah.
But again, it takes time, and you have to make sure you do your research. You have to have, trust your gut, make sure, again, green light. I really do believe in that, and you have to have peace in that decision.
What about you? What were some positive and negatives? I think we started. Moving you off.
It's okay. It's all
Sorry
right.
about that.
It's okay. You got going there.
I did.
Hey, you know what? I'm here to be a team player. Moving here was that was a big ask.
Yeah.
But right away, again, your mom, she got a teaching position.
Yeah.
Very proud of her. She's making, keeping it real, she's making a lot more money now than she did back in Michigan.
Yeah.
Teaching in middle school, and she was teaching middle school in Michigan. So I'm very proud of her. She's
literally leveled up.
She's an excellent teacher. She has 30 some years of experience. She has a master's degree. She should be, again, keeping it real with everyone here. She should be making a lot of what she's making now. She should have been making it probably 10, 15 years ago, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy for her. Although, of course you teach not just for the money, but for other reasons too. But happy for her. Happy for me. I got the coaching position right away. It was JV girls tennis at this new school here on the East Coast. And then currently now I'm a freshman boys basketball coach at the same school. Nice. Yes, same school that I did the JV girls tennis. And then recently I was just offered a position at a different school.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. To do a varsity tennis position in the upcoming spring. So I'm still coaching. I feel like, that was something I'm one of the many things I'm supposed to be doing. So yes, it's a change in terms of location, but I'm still coaching. I'm coaching tennis and basketball at a high school level. And, I think about my old school where I was last year and being a parapro there and being a basketball coach there and teaching tennis in that community. You and I have a lot of memories of that, obviously.
Yeah. And I've tried to find something out here very similar to it. I think there is a few places, but I think where we are right now, it's going to look different. And I think I have to accept the reality of I think I keep trying to create what was in Michigan out here on the East Coast, but it's like, Jordan, come on, it's literally different.
I will say this, it's a different vibe here.
It's very different
than Michigan.
Yeah.
And we knew that. And
it's a new level.
It is a new level. Yep, it's a new level. But similar, I think, when I was 18, again, I went to that college in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Different situation, different type of environment compared to Michigan. When Mom and I, when we got married in Brownsville, Texas, right at the tip of the southern border right there at Texas, really different than being, growing up in the Midwest in Michigan. And so you do adjust and you do change with the times, you change with the environment, you change with your job situations and the expectations. But there are a lot of positives. And so I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we have figured it out these last, 6, 8, 10 months. Yeah. I'm glad, of course, now being consistent then with the pod, I'm glad we can, because if I was in one state and you were like 5 states away, how would we get together and do the pod? We'd have to really kind of figure that out. So I do have to give a shout out to our fans.
Thank you guys.
Yes, for sticking with us. And maybe you've gone through a lot of changes the last 6, 8, 10 months.
Yeah.
But you have stuck it out.
You have.
With Jordan and Kirk and Thoughts and
Thank
Opinions.
You so much.
Of course, we appreciate that. We appreciate your loyalty. And I will say we are working on season 4.
Yeah. Woohoo!
We are in negotiations with the writers as to some good content for season 4. And I, again, keeping it real, 3 years doing a pod, and I know we probably have had less episodes this year than the second year.
Yeah.
Less episodes in the first year.
I mean, this pod has changed.
But I still enjoy it. I know we take it very seriously. Yeah. And we really do appreciate people tuning in. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, to our fans. You've made it through season 3. Congratulations. We hope you enjoyed. We've enjoyed giving the season to you.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a good way for me to kind of like be creative and let the creative energy flow.
Yes.
It's been fun to like talk to, random people just listening to me. And I'm sure they're like, who are these 2 characters? So thank you. And to the only 3 listeners who listened to our last pod, because we do see that sometimes. Thank you so much for being consistent and doing that. Our Billy Graham one is our best episode.
Oh yeah, because you can go back and see how many views or downloads or whatever. And
so many people have listened to that one.
Yes.
Which is kind of funny. Like I remember where I was, and I think if you go back to it, I remember I was cleaning my room, watching The Crown on Netflix, and it's about like Queen Elizabeth, and this is right when Billy Graham is going and he's kind of like being famous, and she invites him over, and they have this moment, and he meets her and they speak, and I just remember I'm like, I had no idea
that he met her.
Yeah, and I knew some things of him. I think Grandpa gave me like a book of him when I graduated and went to college. So I just think it's so funny that Billy Graham is our best pod out there.
Well, in terms of
watch like the numbers go up.
In terms of downloads, I will say this though, because sometimes you find a topic, or we've talked about pop culture. You find a song, or you find a band, or you find a television show, and you'll listen to that song over and over again. You'll watch that. This is a true story. I am watching The Mentalist. The Mentalist, that TV show. I am watching that for like the 5th time. I know who done it. I know who the villain is. I know how they're gonna, how he's gonna trap the villain.
Yeah.
And it's still entertaining. It really is.
Are you like, since you're going back and rewatching it, are you noticing like, oh, I never saw this before? Are you noticing new things?
Because I think it depends on like where you are, like
what kind of mindset you're in.
Yes. Has it been a long day and you're just kind of letting loose? Is it like late at night? Is it like midnight?
You just need a little something.
You know, you kind of like dozing a little bit, or are you happy? You're in your happy place, and we just won our freshman boys basketball game. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go celebrate with the pizza and pop and the Mentalist, And so, yes, you do. You're right. You do notice little subtle differences the first time around or the second time around. And so,
it's your 5th time. Like
5th time, I know.
Wow, but that show must really like speak to you. Then
there's something there.
Yeah.
There really is something there. I think because
interesting.
Anyhow, okay, yeah.
That's another pod for season 4.
That is another pod. The Mentalist. Why I like The Mentalist. I mean, obviously it's the acting and it's the plot. He's trying to catch Red John, the serial killer, and all that. But then obviously it's the episode week to week episodes. He's trying to catch this person, that person, and but there's some funny like little one liners that he says, and I know it's coming, and then I'm like, okay, get ready, Kirk, and then he says it, like, yep, there it is, and so
do you go back and like
sometimes I'll rewind. I'll hit the little.
I do that too
because I watch it online. I'm watching it online, and you can hit the little go back 10-second little button. Yeah, and you can hit it five times.
So I recently I rewatched the first Santa Claus, like the whole
Tim Allen.
Yeah, that's a really funny movie.
He is funny.
My God.
Tim Allen, the one-liners. Yes, the one-liners.
Oh my God, I'm like, I didn't realize how funny he was, because now they have like, they've had like 3, maybe 4 movies out now. Yes. Then they did like season 1 of the show. Now they do season 2.
Oh, the TV show.
And you're like, okay, like sure, like he's really milking it. But see that first movie,
he is funny. I do like Tim.
It's
Allen.
like 94, 95, 93,
he's
96.
Funny. He's from Michigan.
There you go. Yeah, he slides them in real good. He's like, okay, grab it.
He has to because you've got both generations. You've got little kids watching it because it's the Santa Claus. Then you've got mom and dad watching it. So like, oh yeah, that line was for mom and dad. So
they're in the sleigh and they pull up to the guy that's like out doing, last minute Christmas Eve delivery packages. He goes, oh, so if we go I-94. And I'm like, oh, I actually know where that is.
We know where I-94 is.
Oh my gosh. And the guy's just like, is this real right now? Yes. But yeah, it's those little jokes. I mean, the animation with, Santa trying to like fly over. You're like
30 years ago.
Yeah. You're like, okay, hey, that was like,
you're right.
Like so far advanced.
The one-liners though were pretty funny.
Oh, that was really funny. And again, I'm rewatching it as an adult. I'm like, I missed that as a kid. Like I was laughing really hard. I'm like, this is really good.
Here's another. We kind of got off on the whole TV show.
Sorry, this is a really good pod.
This is an extended pod.
This is a great way to end season 3.
Miami Vice. I love that. Is probably if I had to pick one show in the 80s that symbolized that decade. For me in America, it would be Miami Vice.
Maybe I'll watch it.
It is the first couple of seasons. I tell you what, because it was so like cutting edge with the style, the fashion, living in Miami at that time. Just the architecture, and then of course they added in all the music to those scenes. Yeah, and I'm just like, but again, I'll watch it. Here it is, almost like 40 years later. I think it came out in '84. Yeah, currently we're recording this in 2023. It's almost 40 years ago. Was that pilot. And I've watched it probably 9, 10, 11, 12 times. Again, I know what's going to happen. I know how they catch the bad guy. But I'm just like, you know what? First of all, the acting is good. I love the music. And again, with the styles, the cars, I'm just like, you know what? This is one of my all-time favorite shows.
Is it your number one?
I don't know if it's my number one, but in terms of if someone said, Kirk, if someone has never lived in the 80s, pick one show. Yeah. Pick one TV show. Yeah. That would like symbolize in America what was going on in America in the 80s and what pop culture looked like in the 80s. Nice. I would say without hesitation, watch Miami Vice, the first like 2 or 3.
I gotta say, I went to Miami almost like 2 years ago, and there's like a fun, like very energetic, very youthful energy there. And I know Miami gets a bad rap for a party city. Do they party? Of course they do. But there's something there. There's this fun energy there.
I agree.
And I do like it. I've been thinking about Miami a lot lately. I would like to go back there. A friend of mine, she thinks I'm going to move there one day.
I love Miami, Florida.
I
love Florida. We'll I've said that before. I love Florida.
I was looking back. I've been doing a lot of thinking because I've been in traffic a lot lately. And if you're listening to this in traffic, I feel you.
Okay.
Anyway, so I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. Again, lots of thoughts and opinions with Jordan in the car. And I was thinking about Miami and how I had a really good time just there. I was there for New Year's and it was really fun. Yep. And then that's when I found the car. And it's a really fun city. And I was thinking too how I've gone to Florida a lot. And the older I get, the more I go there. And, people kind of like rip on Florida. I think you got to like find in Florida, like what, again, kind of what goes with your personality, your likes, your dislikes. But there is something fun about Miami. There's a very fun, like almost captivating energy. I remember one time at work, this patient came in and I could tell like she wasn't from Michigan. And she just, I don't know, she had like this confidence. She had like some sort of aura or vibe about her. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, like what brings you in? She's like, oh, I'm new. I'm here to establish care. And I'm like, oh, like, I'm like, did you move from Florida? She goes, yes. I'm like, were you living in Miami? She's like, how did you know? Wow. I'm like, I don't know. Like I could just like sense it.
You're picking up on the vibe.
I could, there's something there in Miami. So I would love to go back. Hopefully I do. I don't know when. It would be funny if like 3 days later I was there, but maybe in like another year or 2 or 3. But there is something in Miami. It is fun. But I've heard how Miami, it was the place to be in the 1980s. And you see the photos, you see the music, you hear the music, you see the styles. Yes. The 80s looked like fun. Miami in the 80s looked like fun. Now I know there are other not so fun things going on in the 80s.
You gotta watch yourself.
But 1980s Miami, Florida, that seems really cool. That seems really fun.
And that was part of my, I was in high school. I was in middle school, high school when that show came out.
Yeah.
And Friday nights, NBC, I think 10 o'clock, I think is when they hit their prime time.
Yeah.
And again, I'll watch those again. So it's interesting because we were talking about change. You know, I'm looking, I really am. I'm looking for new shows. I'm looking for new movies, you know, new songs that, you know, that come on the radio. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good.
It's funny.
But then again, there's some older songs, older shows, older movies. I'm like, I'll rewatch it again. I know what's going to happen, but I'm like, you know what? That's it's okay. I'm okay with that. And I think some people don't like change. Some people prefer the same old. They're going to live in a certain place. They're going to, on Mondays, they're going to do this. On Friday nights, they're going to do this. And then the next Monday, they're going to do this. On Friday nights,
they're going to work at the same company for 35,
God bless
40
them
years.
If they can live at the same job for 45, 50
there.
years. Yeah. They're going to park in the same parking spot. Again, God bless them.
They're going to sit in the same pew
in church.
Sunday.
This is their pew.
Yeah.
Again, if that gives them comfort or stability in their life, again, you know, no judging at all. And when I was younger, I thought I was going to be like that. But as I've gotten old, and again, I'm, you know, thumbs up to being that. But as I've gotten older, I'm realizing, okay, you thought you were going to be one way. I thought I was going to be a tennis coach and a basketball coach at one school for like 40 or 50 years, like my father was. I'm going to win multiple state championships. I really did. But now I'm on my, I think 6th or 7th school now, maybe 8th school. And it's worked out for me. And I'm like,
it has.
And I'm like, okay, Kirk, you know what? Change in your career has been good. You've had to adjust. You've had to rethink some things. You've had to process some things differently. But maybe what worked for your father back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, maybe that's not your calling. That's not what you're supposed to do. And so I think each person has to figure out what's good for them, whether change is good, whether change is a little scary sometimes. But I think everyone has to figure it out. So I'm excited for you. It sounds like you're ready for the next chapter of your life.
I have a kind of like a base idea of what the next 6 months are going to be. I'm excited for the next year. I have kind of like goals and ideas, and I'm going to make a vision board, which, I think we've
talked about that. Part 2 is coming.
Part 2, I know we've been saying that for the last couple of seasons.
We think part 2 is coming.
But I have an idea. And then 2 years from now, 3 years from now, it's a little foggy, it's a little hazy, but it's slowly coming together. It's slowly forming. The vision is. And then, I think I could be wrong, but I think a few episodes ago, I think maybe it was season 1, we did like birthdays, and you're like, oh, what's your favorite season?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's winter. So naive. It is now summer. Speaking of changes, my new favorite season is summer.
You're enjoying summer now.
I had a really good summer of 2021. It was a really good summer for me.
Good times.
It was, everything came together really well. I loved my job. I loved my one coworker. She was amazing. And then you and I, once my first job was done, I would go to job number 2, and we would just teach tennis. And the sun was out.
That was fun.
We did ice cream. Now we have amazing friends now from that. Yep. And shout out to the who family. If they're listening, I don't even know. But it's cool that even though 2 years ago, we met through tennis. Now we're still communicating. Yeah. Summer 2021, that was really fun. And I just remember I was in Miami when 2021 started. So that was really fun. My sister got married. So I think that was kind of the start of when all the changes happened. And it was really fun. And I just, I remember having a really good time. So I know because of that, I think I'm becoming more of a sun person. I really like the warm weather. I like the sunny weather.
Yes.
When I was living in Michigan, the older I got, the drearier, the just kind of depressing, gloomy, gray it got. It's not fun looking outside, and the snow, it's gray and slushy, and it's 4 inches, and then it's scattered clouds, and the sun's trying to peek through, and it's January, February, and it's -5 degrees out with the wind chill of -15, and you're like, okay. Out here is great. It's 28 when I wake up. The snow's there, but by 10 a.m. It's 55 degrees and the snow's melted. And I'm like, okay. But I think in the future I might live somewhere down south, somewhere near the ocean, the beach. Although I had a dream that I was out on the West Coast. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
One of the coasts.
One of the coasts. So I think I'm becoming a very sunny, summery person. Kind of goes with my personality, actually. Now that I'm looking about that.
Well, we hope it works out for you, Jordan.
I hope so too. Although, ironically, I think, I have this like feeling that I might move back to Michigan when I have kids when they're teenagers. And I was talking to my sister about it. And she thought it was because I had like good memories and that's how I was raised. Maybe that's how I want my kids to go.
Sure.
I think I will go back and visit. Will I ever live there again? I don't know. But it was kind of like a breakup. I mean, it was really sad to just kind of say goodbye to the state.
It was emotional saying goodbye.
Especially the car. My first car,
I know,
man. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's okay. Build a bridge. Get over it. Get victory. I will.
Get some victory. That's right.
Season 4, I'll be more victorious.
Season 4. Again, thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe how long
this
we've
has
been
been
talking.
an extended pod. Thanks for sticking with us.
This is what conversations are like with the two of us.
This is it.
We just bing, 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 bing. It's fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. We appreciate
hope
it.
everyone had a successful, because we're almost to the end of the year 2023.
Yeah.
We hope our listening audience had a successful 2023, whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
And we, of course, hope for the very best for all of us in 2024. So
thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. Thanks for always listening to us. And now you're on the East Coast with us.
East Coast represents. So season 4 coming soon. God bless you.
Woohoo!
Rock and roll.